Here with my friend downtown, TJ Brown. TJ, how are you, man?
Man, I'm great, dude. Just got back home from the gym, finished up some strength conditioning, followed by a little bit of sauna. So just here relaxing at the house, man.
How have you, since the Kai fight in May, how have the past couple months been for you?
It's been great, right after the fight, of course, spent some time off, spending with my son, hung out with some friends, man, went on a few trips, but then about 4 weeks ago, I've really been starting to hammer back down, trying to get ready for the next one. We're looking at something for September. So, man, we're back on the grind, man, trying to keep my weight at a good, stable spot and just stay ready.
Has that been announced yet or no?
Yeah.
Okay. I won't ask then. So, well, I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be sweet. And you're going to make me some more money. I know you will.
Right on.
As
Yeah.
I was saying right before we started recording here, I put money on you for Kai, and I got a steak dinner courtesy of Mr. Brown. So thank you very much. Um,
Right on.
I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that I see when I see you fight. Um, I'm a big fan of you because like you're probably the most genuine guy in the sport. Like when I think of like genuine people that like don't bullshit and just like say things for what they are and how it is, I think like two people come to mind: you and Anthony Smith. Like you guys don't church anything up, and talking about the Kai fight a little bit. A lot of people shit on you for that, and I thought a lot of people weren't being fair. Um, you talked about this at length, but I just kind of wanted to say like a couple things. I thought you won, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a fan. I thought you won. I am kind of a nerd, and I looked at all the stats. You threw more volume. You threw 20 more strikes than that guy did. You took him down twice, and then it was kind of like a war of attrition. He hurt you. You hurt him. But the last like minute or two of the fight in the third, that is like everything was pretty even, but I thought everything shifted toward you, and you couldn't have ended that fight better. He had some ground control on you in the third, but he couldn't really do anything with it. And looking at the last 60 to 90 seconds of the fight, I think you really put a stamp on it. And I was like, this is going to be a split. I'm pretty sure it'll be a split. The only thing that'll surprise me if it's a UD, but you know, I might get shit just like you, man, because I thought the right guy came out on top, and I
Yeah.
didn't think people treated you very fairly. I thought, I'm not putting words in your mouth or nothing like that, but I thought people could have been a little more gracious to you and a little bit more professional. I know Kai's a cool guy, and I'm sure you and him are probably had a little bit of dialogue, and I'm sure everything's cool or whatnot. But since the dust has settled and all the emotions are out of it, my question to you is: you want to run it back with him, or like have you just kind of like moved on and are you ready for something new?
So I think you hit it on the spot. I feel the same way about the results of the fight and the fight and how it went, how I won, and I agree 100%. And I'm glad you noticed that last about 90 seconds to a minute of that fight. It's like I that brought out a part of me, a side of me, that I don't think a lot of people have. That just bite down dog, to come out there when you're super tired and just pull out, and give it all you got. But man, I for sure thought I won. You look at the stats, same thing. But as far as running it back, I wouldn't. It's not something I'm looking for, just because I don't think it moves me forward. Like I don't think like that's going to like help my career, help me move forward up the rankings. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
I don't mind running back with him. I feel like if I did run it back with him, I would beat him, again, So, uh, but to answer your question, I'm not really got my eyes zeroed in on him. I'm trying to move forward. Me and my coaches, Rolly and James Krause, we're kind of looking at some other options. We've got some other names in the hat. So,
I'll let
I don't, down the road, he puts together some wins or something. We run each other, we'll do it, like, but right now I'm really, I'm not focused on him.
I know you have to take the fifth. So, but I'll say like one fight I would love to see. I'd love to see you and Shane. I think you deserve to fight a guy with a number, and I
Yeah.
would like to see you fight Shane. I think that would be a freaking baller fight.
Yeah, he's a dog too, man,
You
for
guys are
sure.
very similar. You guys
Yeah.
are two pit bulls
Yeah.
inside there. I would love to see that. And I love the fact that you're with James. You've talked about that a number of occasions, how much he's
Mhm.
done for your career, how much he's just helped you evolve as a fighter. And I think with him in your corner as your coach, going to that gym, I think that's what it's going to take to get you to like that next level. I think
Yeah.
James is, in my opinion, I think he's the best coach out there. Like
Yeah,
not, a lot of people don't talk about him, but I think he's amazing.
I agree. I agree. He should be in the talk, if not win coach of the year. You know, he's really got something special, and you can't really explain it till you go down there and get in that gym, or have him in your corner between like the second and third round. I mean, he's really something special. You know, I think some people are just put on this world to do certain things. I feel like that he's doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing in life.
I hope he fights again too soon. I love
Yeah, me
watching
too.
him fight.
Me too, dude.
I love watching that guy fight. So
Me
TJ,
too.
I want to take it back a little bit. I am preparing for this interview. I pride myself on preparation. I try not to be like other guys that have shows and ask the same boring shit. Um, so part of my preparation, in addition to looking at every single one of your fights, I look at a lot of the interviews that you've done recently. And from what I have gathered, I have got little bits and pieces of your background and what you've come through, what you've
Mhm.
come from. And but I don't know what that whole story is. I've been looking at a lot of your interviews. I know a little bit about your background. I've heard bits and pieces of it. Obviously, I know your son's a huge part of your life, and I know that you had a kind of like a hard time growing up, and like a couple of the things that you said, and you said this after you won in the Contender Series. Like, if you guys knew where I came from, like you guys wouldn't believe this. Like
Yeah.
I've come from I've come from a lot to get to where
Right.
I am today.
Right.
So without getting like too like personal and stuff like that, can you just like I don't think I've heard the full story. So can we get a better understanding of who you are and
Sure.
what you've dealt with?
Sure, of course. You know, I don't mind telling these stories, or a bit of my background, just because the simple fact of maybe there's somebody else out there that has went through some of the similar tribulations, and man, if my story could somehow like motivate them to dig down deep and keep moving forward, you know, then I think it'd be worth it. With that being said, you know, if I define my story, it's just been relentless. You know, I mean, I've had a lot of downfalls. Even when things started getting better, you know, there were still downfalls. But I guess that is life. You know, but you know, to start growing up, you know, of course, I've talked about it before. You know, my father wasn't around. My mom, you know, she tried her best, but I think she had some problems with different things that didn't allow her to be the best she could be. Of course, she loved me, but she wasn't able to fully be there. My grandparents did their best, but you know, I always kind of had sports growing up. You know, sports. I always put my time into sports, and had some really great coaches that were there for me. You know, um, with that being said, I moved forward. I played a year of college football, where then I started making some bad decisions, and got released from the team. Uh, and then just was messing up, hanging around with the wrong crowds, you know, doing things on the weekends I shouldn't have been doing. And then out of nowhere, this girl I just been hanging out with, she comes out, is like tells me she's pregnant. So for me, you know, like this is a big deal. You know, at first I'm freaking out, of course, but you know, for me, not having a father, I always it was a big deal that when I did have a son, my son wouldn't have to ask the questions I asked, like "Where's dad? Who's dad?" or "Why did this man not want me?" You know, like why was he not around? So when that happened, it was really a turning point in my life. You know, I was like, man, I've got to get my things together. I've got to start hammering down. I got to start making something happen. So I just kind of looked at my attributes, what I was good at, what I wasn't so good at, what I could do moving forward, and I've always been a bit athletic, and I'll work hard. I get my mindset to something. I'm going to work my tail off until I get it. So with that being said, and I've gotten a few fights growing up. I was never like a bully or anything like that, but being a kid, see, I was the only Filipino kid in our school. Like it was either I grew up in South Arkansas, where it was either 50%, it was either all whites or all blacks. There wasn't any Filipinos, much less any Mexicans or anything like that. It was just me. So you could expect some things come with bullying and different things come with that. But hell, when things arose and I had to fight, man, I got in there and scrapped and took care of business. So I've always thought, man, maybe I've got something with that. So I actually get on Google and I find the gym I started at Westside MMA. I get on there, I start training. A few months in, I take a fight. I knock the guy out in 10 seconds, and I'm like, man, hell, let's give this a try, And as you know, as an amateur, you don't get paid, So even at that point, I'm still struggling. There's times I'm like, I'm living in the gym. I'm back to barely pay the bills at where I'm at. It's just a really tough time. But when you get in times like this, it's like I feel like you got to remember your why. Like why am I doing this? Why did I start doing this? And man, I would think of my son, and I'd think of all, I wanted him to be proud of me. I wanted him to, when he grows up, he's like, man, my dad worked his ass off and made it happen for me, and his mom throughout the years, she's made some mistakes. She's been in and out of jail and had
Mhm.
some drug issues. So, I've got him full time now, and that's something, I'm proud. I'm proud that I've been able to work my tail off. Eventually, MMA worked out to where I'm in the UFC now. I'm coaching at the best gym around. I've got my clientele for private lessons are higher than they ever been. So, that's something I'm really proud of. And if anybody want to hear an inspiring message or an inspiring story, it's mine for sure. And something I'm very proud of.
What I love most about you is nothing's been handed to you. Like
For sure,
you
man. For
you
sure.
had to grind to get to where you are. You've earned your spot. Like
For
no
sure.
one pushed you. You fought, probably in front of 10 people, 100
Yeah.
people, 500
Yeah.
people, and now
Yeah.
you've earned your spot, man. Like you've had to earn your place.
Right
And
on.
it's just good to see because sometimes I think I'm not going to name any names, but sometimes I think certain kids get hyped, they get thrown into the deep waters way too early,
Yeah.
and if you
Yeah. eh,
aren't ready for that, the UFC will
Yeah.
grind you up and spit you out.
For sure. And not only that, man, I've seen a lot of good guys that just never made it to their potential, whether it be bad luck, whether it be not having the right marketing or the right network or the right manager. Dude, I've seen a lot of good guys that just never got a chance to showcase their skills.
Like obviously, I know you're 45, but could you imagine, like, let's just pretend like you were 170. Could you imagine when you were like 24 years old fighting like Woodley? I mean,
Great.
but that's what happens, man. Like,
Yeah.
if you get into that deep end too early,
Yeah.
and sometimes there really is no coming back from something like that.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
I think that's a very good point, man. My youngest, my brother is wanting to start in MMA, and I'm like, man, I'm explaining him to him, it's like, dude, he is just good enough
Mhm.
that he's going to run through the local guys, like, but he's going to get to a point where there's good guys out there, world class guys he's going to go against, and dude, you don't want to be thrown to that too soon, like what you're talking about,
Right,
and because if you're not ready and you get there, there ain't no turning back.
right.
You're there, and you got to make it work. So I said to say, I think it's important for guys to be patient as an amateur on their way coming up, because once you're there, a lot of times you don't get a second chance.
Yeah, exactly. And but I think like one of the negative things about taking your time, like I think from a career development standpoint, like strictly from an MMA standpoint, 100% take your time.
Right.
When you're not in the UFC and you're on like a regional show or a different organization, I have no idea what those guys get paid, but I know it's not a lot. And I know a lot of those
They
guys,
need to be more active, right?
yeah. And then a lot of guys are working full time on top of that. Like I talked to Anthony Smith like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and Anthony Smith told me like it was not until like this might surprise you. It wasn't until like 2014 or 15 when he got his first performance bonus that he was able to quit his job.
Yeah. What did he do? What did he do?
He was in construction. He was a concrete finisher. Yeah,
Wow.
he never
Wow.
graduated high school.
That's tough work, dude. That's tough work. Yeah.
Yeah, he never graduated high school. I
Wow. I
didn't know
never did
that.
that.
Yeah, he's
No, I didn't know.
just a cool, genuine dude, and his life story is similar to yours. Like his dad wasn't around either, and
Yeah. I think that's kind of a similar factor. I've heard, a lot of the fighters that I know, it seems to be something we all have in common, whether that's good or not.
well, good for you though for stepping up and like really embodying what a father's supposed to be. And I try
Right,
to,
right.
you picked up and have done a lot of things that I'm sad to say a lot of young men probably wouldn't have done. And I was super young when
Yeah, for sure.
I was super young when I had my first child. Too young. I was like
Yeah.
21, way too young.
Yeah, yeah. I was same here. That's how I was way too young. I walked in the dentist the other day and the lady was like, I was bringing my son to the dentist and she said,
Is this your little brother or something like that?
yeah, you read it, dude. She said, would you like to go back with your little brother? And I was like, that's my son, and she was like, you look way too young, to have a 9-year-old son. I'm like, man, I am, but you know what? I've made it work.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit older than you. I'm 30. Jesus Christ, how old am I? Your birthday's in May, and I think I'm
Right.
like my birthday's the 21st, and you're either the day before me or after me.
Day after. That's
Yeah,
cool,
yeah,
dude.
yeah. I knew that because Tapology and shit. It's like if you have a
Right.
show, you got to bookmark that shit.
Right.
But yeah, it was the same thing that happened with me. Like obviously I had a different path in life. I was never an athletic guy, but I was in the military at the time when I had my daughter, and
Nice. What branch?
I was in the Air Force for 6 years.
Nice. That's the
And
best.
yeah, it was good, but you know what? Like I was pretty young and pretty dumb, and
I've
I'm
been there.
lucky I didn't get caught getting in trouble for some of the
Right.
dumb shit I did. I'm glad I didn't get a girl pregnant. I'm glad I didn't
Right.
do a bunch of dumb shit. And didn't. Well, let me rephrase that. I'm glad I didn't get caught for the dumb shit I did.
Right. I feel that, dude.
But then she was born, and it changed my life, man. Like all of a sudden, like shit gets real, and it's like, man, like life's not about like having sex with a bunch of girls and like beer pong. Like you have to be a father,
Right
and
on.
that'll fuck you up if you're not
Yeah.
ready. It did for
Yes,
me for a
sir.
little bit. I wanted to shift gears a little bit. I want to talk about a couple of things. Your amateur career, you were undefeated. You never lost. You
Yeah.
just put all these guys through the wood chipper.
Yeah, man.
And then you go and you make your pro debut and you lose. It's the first time you've lost. Did that like mess with you?
Oh man. Without a doubt. It was in the moment. In the moment, I remember it feeling like the end of the world. I could barely bear the pain. Because here I am undefeated. I've also boxed and kickboxed undefeated. I haven't lost anything, dude. Like, and around here, I was the next big thing.
Right.
Like you talking about hype? Like everybody wanted to be my buddy. Everybody knew I was a thing, and then I lose this fight, and I'm in a bad place. Like I've never had that taste in my mouth, that fear of that loss. And man, all these people that I thought were my friends, my people I thought cared about me, were nowhere to be found. Didn't text me, didn't call me, didn't come see me. didn't have nothing to say with me. And then, it hurt me in a lot of ways, because for one, I'm losing in the game that I put so much time and I sacrificed for. Here I am turning pro, my pro debut. This is supposed to be the starting point of my whole career, and I lose. I'm heartbroken. And then the lesson of who your real friends are come with that. It was really a tough time, but looking back now, I can say it was a huge development point for me. It made me realize who my real friends were, and it helped me really take the game more seriously. I think at that point I got a little bit high on the horse. Like I thought I was a little more confident, a little more cocky and confident than I should have been. It really humbled me in a way, and really brought me back down to earth, put me back in the grind, and start hammering down fights and start training the way I was supposed to be and living the life I need to be living.
And one of the things that I noticed is you take that loss and then you start going on a tear. And then like when I start looking at some of the guys that you fought in 20, like it started right around 2017. Like they did not line up tomato cans for you, man. Like you had to fight some
No, sir.
tough dudes. Like,
Yeah,
like
at that point, I really did. It's so cool you noticed that. But it was at that point I was like, man, it's do or die for me. Like I've got to start taking these fights. I know if on my best night, I can beat some of the best guys in the world. I'm not saying I'm the best in the world. I'm not saying I'm not claiming that, but I know on my best night, I can beat some of the best in the world.
sure.
So like I had that belief, and like, man, I was like, man, it's gonna take me beating some of these good guys to get to the big show. And it's been like that for me. Like if I want to do this, I wanted to go all the way. I
Did you
wanted
ask
to,
for those guys?
yeah, like
Yeah.
what was Peter Barrett? I wanted that fight, the Bobby Moffitt fights, like, and still today, like looking back at the Bobby Moffitt fight being a split decision win, like I feel like I could have won, I feel like I won that fight, but it
Yeah.
was close,
Like,
and go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, not trying to talk shit on people, but like some of the things that you see is like these guys, especially when they're in the lower leagues or regionals, whatever, they're fighting like a bunch of scrubs. And
Yeah, dude, you
you
see that,
didn't.
man.
You didn't
Yeah,
though.
right on.
uh,
Right on.
and I think that says a lot. Like you have a lot of fights under your belt and you're still relatively young, like you're in your athletic prime, but you have like you're not just like this, like I don't know what the word to say is. Like nobody just like handed you the keys to the UFC. Like
Right
you
on.
literally had to like fight the top guys to get there.
Right
And
on.
then we go right into the Contender Series. And I wanted to talk about the Contender Series because I don't really know a whole lot about how it works. How do
Sure.
you get on the Contender Series? What
Well,
goes on behind that?
for me, I can tell you how I got in. So for me, in 2019, I won like 4 fights in a row. I got 2 head kick knockouts, one that was put on ESPN Sports Center Top 10. And right after that second head kick knockout on LFA, I signed with Iridium Sports Agency, which is the manager Jason House.
Mhm.
And after putting those wins together, he had connections, to get on the Contender Series fight, and he got me lined out with that fight.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you if that head kick at LFA 63 kind of like greased the skids a little bit and made that a little
It
bit
definitely
easier.
did. That definitely got me. That definitely got me some publicity. Helps with my marketing and help get my name out there.
I have to say I don't know what my favorite fight of yours is. I kind of like changed my mind between Kai and the Lockhart fight.
Dude, that was a good one, huh? You don't
Dude,
see many guys getting dropped in the first, getting deducted a point, and being that far down and coming back in the third round and finishing somebody. Man, that's special.
you were really like, yeah, you got clipped. I remember, like he clipped you, and
Yeah.
you get that point deduction, and like for all intents and purposes, you're like aside from like yes, he rocked you a little bit, but you recovered, you got back up, and then you really started having your way with this dude.
Yeah.
And then you make a bonehead mistake, and it's like, man, it's not this guy fucking me up, it's me fucking me up.
That's
And
my whole career, dude.
and I just I love that fight because things aren't going well, and so many guys in that position, like their body language going into the third, they would have been dragging ass maybe a little bit or down on themselves, and
Broken.
and you were just kind of like I think when I rewatched that, like I think I heard one of your coaches say like TJ, we need a finish, man. Like after that point deduction, we need a finish. And you're just like, all right, I got it.
Right.
And that was it.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, okay, well, like you were confident, like with not
Right.
cocky and stupid, but like you were just like confident and knew that you were going to get it done. And when you look back on that fight now, like what kind of goes through your head? Do you like kind of smile? Like do you like see like a young talented guy who who who
Uh,
who has all the tools, but just needs to make better decisions, or like,
right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm still a bit working on that. Like I've never doubted my heart and my will to win or my tenacity. But and as far as my techniques, like my as far as technical things, I feel like I've made good decisions. But there are fight IQ mistakes that I've continued to make. I think will be one of the biggest development points for me is just raising that fight IQ. And I think um, game time fight IQ. And I think, with James, that's going to help a lot. But what stands out to me in that fight was just, that was a great coaching moment too. Like, man, when I go back to the corner, like you said, many guys could have been very flustered, very, very their mind would have been shot, but instead I go back to the corner. Me and my coach put a game plan together there in the corner. We switch game plans, put together a game plan, and find a way to put this guy away. I mean, that's something special, man. There's something that's got to be said for that.
well, you're coachable, like you listen.
For sure.
And I know that sounds pretty dumb to say, like at first, like if you're listening to what I just said, like, well, like,
No, dude,
but
there's
it's
many
like,
guys that
dude,
aren't
like,
very coachable.
well, it's like you get in there, especially like I didn't notice this until the pandemic, right? You start seeing the apex clear out, and I can actually start hearing stuff, and you hear the coaches clearly saying like, "Okay, I need a takedown, or clinch him up, or I need
Yeah,
you to
I
pass
think that was
guard."
good for the fans. Yeah, that
And
was very good for the fans that they could see that,
mhm,
and be able to hear the coaches and really how pivotal, how important of a part the coaches play being in the corner. I feel like it's a skill in itself to have the ability to listen to your coaches in the time of fire when you're in the
yeah.
fire, fighting, punches being thrown, and still have the ability to listen to your coaches, relay messages, and do what they're asking of you.
What's so cool about it, and I notice it not with a whole bunch of guys, but with a lot of guys, is like they'll be on the ground grappling with some guy doing jujitsu, whatever, and the coach is like telling them to do something, and like they might be like getting their face bashed in or like trying to apply like a choke of some kind, but they're like looking over, not even looking at the dude, they're like looking over and like trying to hear what
Mhm.
their coaches are saying a little bit better. And
Yeah,
I'm really for me personally, I'm really glad that this is this might be shitty to say, but like I kind of hope for the fight night cards, they keep some of them in the apex exactly how they are, because it's just cool, you
it
know.
it is cool. It is cool, and like I said, I think it was cool for the fans to be able to hear how important it is to have those good coaches in your corner, and how much of a role they play. But also, man, I will say I'm ready to when I go out, when I make that walk out to the cage, fans going crazy again and getting my hand raised and people yelling my name. Like I miss that a bit.
Well,
I miss having the fan interaction. That's one of the reasons I do this sport. I love getting under those lights. I love that feeling. So although I can appreciate the apex and what we talked about, I'm pumped to have some crowds back, man.
Yeah, certain guys would do well in that type of environment. I think, like, especially if you're a younger guy, it would probably
Yeah.
behoove you to be in the apex.
Yeah. I agree.
For somebody like you, you have a lot of fights under your belt. It may not
Right.
be that big of a deal.
Right.
I think you would probably do better in front of a crowd,
Right.
because your fighting style, like, is really. I've never seen a boring TJ Brown fight.
Yeah, there ain't
You
one, man.
no, like,
Yeah.
you're very well versed, and it's not to say you're just like this brawler knockout type. You have jujitsu, you have grappling, you have wrestling. Like,
Mhm.
you are a mixed martial artist. Like, you do everything well. There is a one part of your game that sticks out to me where I'm like, oh yeah, like he's definitely a striker. Oh yeah, he's definitely a wrestler. I think you do
Right.
it all, man. You do it all, and you do it all
Thank
really
you.
well. And before I let you go, I had a couple questions for you. I think they're
Cool.
kind of cool. So I got one. I'm going to ask you the most important question right off the top. Is
Oh
the bullet
gosh.
coming back?
Is the mullet coming back? No, dude. I'm rocking this. I'm rocking this silver on the top, bro. Listen, I'm gonna tell you something. I had a mullet and I won 5 fights in a row, never lost. And as soon as I cut that mullet off, I lost my first fight. I'll never make that mistake again. So this hair's staying this way until I lose.
Ricky Simone's bringing it back.
Right on, dude.
And
Right
I
on.
was so happy. Like, he cut the mullet off, and then guess what? He
Yeah.
lost. I'm like, the mullet power, man.
Dude, same thing happened to me. Same thing. It's real.
I like Ricky Simone. He's a funny guy. He just posted on Instagram, and he's wearing like a hat like us. But then
Yeah.
I saw it back here. And I'm like, are you bringing the mullet back? And then he just wrote back, I'm back, baby. And I'm like, that's fantastic.
Hell
Good for
yeah.
you, man.
Hell
Good for
yeah.
you. Who is the nicest guy in your division, but you can't say Bryce?
Dang it. You know I was gonna say Bryce.
Yeah.
I really that's what I was gonna say. Man, it's tough to say. When I fought Griffin, he was super nice. Like although I thought I was winning that whole fight, until that choke, he agreed with me. He wasn't like an asshole about it. He was like, man, that's just kind of his move. But he was super nice and super cordial with me after the fight. So I'll say that Griffin cat.
Well, that's cool. Because I understand, like, people got you kind of have to hype fights. You kind of have to talk shit. It's part of the game, right? It's part of the business. But
Yeah.
some guys, I think, do a better job of it than others. I think some guys get stupid
It's
with it.
fake.
Yeah,
Dude, right. You can just tell how fake it, and it's so good. Like McGregor, it's like it just rolls off his tongue,
Mhm.
where I feel like if I tried to play that role, it would come off fake, like it wouldn't work for me. So I just try to be me.
You have to. And, like, I've I won't name names, but I've spoken to a few UFC guys and gals, and I've heard the same thing across the board, that Colby's a nice guy. Every single
Dude,
one of
I've heard that too.
every
Heard that
single
too.
person said, like, dude, he's actually really cool.
I've heard that exact same
And
thing actually.
Anthony was just like, oh yeah, man, every time I see Colby, like, we drink a bunch of beers if I'm not fighting or
Wow,
whatever. Like, he's a cool dude.
that's cool.
And I'm
That's
just
cool.
like, I'm not surprised. Like, I see all that, and I'm just kind of like, like, I know he talks a lot of shit. That's his shtick or
I
whatever.
mean, I think it's got him some fights.
He took a
I don't
page out of
know. No,
Chael's book for sure. It worked for
that's
Chael,
exactly,
right?
exactly, exactly.
So, I mean, why can we hate on him? We can't. He's a phenomenal talent for sure.
Right on.
All right. So I already said I want you to fight Shane Burgos. I know you have a fight coming up in September. Before that, we got a really huge fight, the Volkanovski Ortega fight. Who do you got?
Oh, that's a tough one. I would have said Volkanovski for sure, without a doubt. But then after his performance, after
Max
Ortega's performance,
Ortega.
after Ortega's last performance, I'm like, man, this is a new, improved Ortega. So I think it'll be a closer fight. But still, with that being said, I'm going to go with Volkanovski, Alexander Volkanovski.
I think I'm taking Ortega.
All right, hey, man,
I
I'm
think
going
I
to tell you
have to.
after his last performance, I could see him getting it done.
For that reason. For
Yeah.
that reason. I think I
Yeah.
think his game's definitely evolved, and I thought the zombie was gonna knock him out, and
Me
like it
too.
did not happen, man. Like Ortega has evolved. He's a I don't think Volkanovski beat Max the second time personally. I thought
Yeah.
Max had that.
I thought Max won the second one too.
Yeah, I thought I didn't have a problem with the first one, but the second one I thought definitely Max. And
I did too. I thought the whole time, man.
you know, man, it'll be a really interesting fight. I'm really I really want to see more of you, man. Like I'm happy that you're going back out there, and I'm happy that you know the Kai fights in the dust, and people can stop. I hope people are nicer to you, man, because you're like the nicest,
Yeah,
most.
thank
I
you.
hope you're the nicest, most like genuine, one of the nicest, most genuine guys that are out there. Um, and you know you're just getting in your prime, and I really want you to start. I know like it's not up to you, obviously. I know there's politics and all a bunch of other crap, but like I think you you deserve a shot at a ranked guy, and it needs to
Thanks, man.
happen. And I really want to
Thanks, man.
see TJ. I really appreciate your time this evening. Thank you so much. You're a true gentleman, and I hope I can have you on the show after you win.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Hey guys, if you're listening, follow me at Downtown TJ Brown on Instagram. Thanks for having me, dude. I appreciate you giving me this platform for me to talk.